Alrighty. Let's keep on going. A few days had passed since the incident. During that time, either Mion was busy or Rika-chan had to help with the festival preparations, so we couldn't get everybody together for club activities. Even though I thought I would never want to participate again after the years it shaved off my life each time, not having it only made my heart grow fonder. I really am not honest with myself. This is really beautiful. The hills and stuff in the background, and it looks great. Today we finally had our club activities again. These weren't the same old club activities. It was called the Cotton Drifting 5 Demon Firefight. Oh, so Watanagashi's today. It was one of the biggest events in the club. There's no way he's gonna wear a yukata. Mom pulled out an old, dusty yukata. They would make so much fun of him if he wore a yukata. I put on the same old vest as usual. Dad let out a loud snore from the sofa. Did he find his inspiration, I guess? Maybe he used Keiichi's room like he said he was, like Keiichi thought he might. It seems my dad writes for art magazines sometimes too. I've never read it though. I wonder if my dad is a really famous artist. It's kind of sad that he doesn't know anything about his dad's job. As his son, it's a bit strange for me to say, but I can't imagine he's selling all that well. How would you possibly know? But he's able to feed a family of 3, and my life isn't exactly full of hardships. Yeah, it seems like he's pretty successful. Come on. Maybe he's actually a master painter, and I just never knew it. Is it time to go? Uh-oh, it was already time. I didn't want them coming here, so I was planning on leaving early and waiting outside. Rena, please don't make it weird. Why are you blushing just from meeting my mom? Since Rena would continue to space out if I left her here, I grabbed her hand and dragged her out. Oh, God. Oba-sama. Then why don't you do it right now? She waved back even as I was dragging her away. Sure, Rika's already there. Festival time. We're already in high spirits with just the 3 of us here. It was way more lively at the Furude Shrine than the last time I came, far exceeding my expectations. Throngs of people were crammed between rows of market stalls lined with colorful paper lanterns. Despite that, it was actually quite enjoyable. I wonder if people travel here, because like Tomitake-san is in Hinamizawa just for the festival, right? So other people might be here just for it. Wow. It's a big deal. That's true, I agree. These two knew everybody we came across. Of course I greeted them as well, but I still wasn't familiar with everybody yet. Wonder how long that will take.
この間はお惣菜をありがとうね。うちの子も美味しいって喜んでたわ。
いえいえ、気に入ってもらえて嬉しいです。和正くんにもよろしくお伝えくださいね。
和正くん。
よー、園崎のお嬢ちゃんじゃねえの。今年も屋台担いで来てやったぜ。
おっちゃん、太った？今からそんなお腹じゃ果ては心筋梗塞だね。
この兄ちゃんは新顔だな。嬢ちゃんの後輩かい？
I wonder if the festival, if the people at the stalls at the festival, if they live in Hinamizawa, or if they are just like, I don't know, I wonder if that works. If you run a business where you just have a stall, would you travel around Japan to different festivals and just set up your stall there?
うちの部員だよ。期待のニューフェイス。侮ると一晩で屋台潰されるよ。
嬢ちゃんのお墨付きかい。そりゃお手柔らかに頼むぜ。
As you could imagine, Mion was chatting away with the old guys running the stalls.
兄ちゃんは元気いいからね。おじさんたちにすごく人気あるの。
レナも人気あると思うけどな。可愛いし。
That was, of course, so long as her little condition didn't flare up. But as long as she's blushing quietly, she's pretty cute.
レナが？誰に人気あるのかな？あるのかな？
That's the part that she's saying, not when he called her cute. Like, come on.
誰かにだよ。
I evaded giving her a straight answer by roughly tussling her hair.
露天商は町からわざわざ来てくれるんだよ。やっぱりこういうのがないとお祭りは盛り上がらないよね。
で、
Ah.
それを俺たちは荒らして回るわけか。どんな勝負にせよ。俺は負
We
け
need
ないぜ。
Sadako and Rika here. Come on.
そうだね。頑張ろう。
Wonder what the game is gonna be exactly. There's Sadako.
遅いですわ、皆様。レディを待たせるとはケイチさんもなってないでございますわ。
おお、そりゃすまんな。で、その待たせたレディってのはどこにいるんだ？
It was Rika, not Sadako.
不安ですって。
Alright, Sadako was in top form as well. Seemed she was all excited about being able to get everybody in the club together for the first time in a while.
リカちゃん、かわいい。
Rina let out an elated sigh. It seemed that the real lady had made her appearance exactly.
こんばんはですよ、みんな。
Very cute.
ケイイチもこんばんはです。
いいねいいね。今年も決まってるじゃん。
かわいいかわいい。お持ち帰り。
Not yet. You can't do that during the festival. Rika-chan was wearing a Shrine Maiden outfit. Yup. Rina's little outburst was completely understandable.
リカちゃんの服装は本格派だな。これって本物の巫女さんの服か？
うちのバッチャのお手製。結構本格派でしょ？
リカちゃんはお祭りの最後に大切なお仕事があるから
I see.
その衣装なの。
I see. Rika-chan was on the executive committee because she performed all the Shrine Maiden rituals for the festival. Okay.
お仕事はお祭りの最後のところだけなのです。まだまだゆっくり遊べますですよ。ってことはここで時間を無駄にできないということですわ。参りましょう。
よっしゃー。
It felt good to wander around the festival with just the five of us. Mion called everyone over to a stand that caught her attention and proposed a rather odd competition.
たこ焼き早食い勝負。
Takoyaki eating
各
race.
自購入の上。よーいドン。
A standard in vendor stalls, the takoyaki stand. What was especially standard for these kinds of events was the fact that they were simply balls of dough, takoyaki in name only.
ケイチ君大丈夫？お水お水。
It's a race, Rena, you don't have
そ
time.
んな熱々たこ焼き丸飲みなんて自殺行為でございますわ。
作り置きの冷めたやつを購入するのがコツかな。
実に美味しくないですよ。
The stall next to it was a shaved ice stand. It was still a little bit too early in the season for that, but right then it didn't matter.
今度はかき氷にしようぜ。完食早食い勝負だ。レディーゴー。
かき氷の早食いなんて無理。体温で少しでも溶かせば。冷たいですな。
甘いね。おじさんはシロップ大盛りで頼んだのさ。混ぜればすぐに溶ける。
That's cheating. It's a race. You can't wait for it to melt. You just have to eat it. Come on. Those stooges were too late. The moment they chose to tackle it head on was their downfall.
完食だ。
ケイちゃんが？早すぎる。
まさかケイチ君。
Okay, I really hope he didn't do that, because that is nasty.
実に美味しくないですよ。
Next to that was another old favorite, a cotton candy stand.
次はこちらにしませんこと？もちろん早食いですわ。ねえ。
How do you eat cotton? I guess you just,
早食いなんてどうやるんだろう。
I guess you could just like crush it, you know?
どうやるんだろう。
On Sadako's mark, Mion, Sadako, and I all compressed the cotton candy with our bare hands, yeah. The time it took to stick the whole thing in our mouths, 3 seconds.
さとこはともかく、ケイちゃんも気づいてたとはね。
俺をいつまでも新入部員扱いしないことだぜ。
実に美味しくないですよ。
Rika-chan had also crushed it between her hands and stuck it in her mouth.
こんな綿飴の食べ方、きっと日本中
Yeah,
で
it's
も
not,
ここだけだ
it
よ。
kind of ruins the cotton candy. You're kind of just eating a ball of sugar at that point, which, I mean, that's all cotton candy is, but the texture is part of what makes it, you know. I think only Runa's cotton candy was happy with how it was eaten. But it felt like we'd end up doing stuff like eat noodles through the nose contest, or human water pump at the goldfish scoop at the rate things were going.
それでもおじさんは勝つけどね。
白磁気勝負ではミオさんにはかないませんわね。
ああ、まったく。
何あんたたち。次は焼きそばにブルーハワイかけて食べる勝負にしたいわけ？
Shake, shake. Both Sadako and I shook our heads in unison.
あのさ、今度はちょっと食べ物から離れたゲームにしないかな。
We gotta
しないかな。
diversify the games here. Rena's proposal was a godsend. It was about time we played a different kind of game. It seemed like neither Rena nor Rika-chan were any good at speed eating or gorging themselves.
じゃあレナ、次のゲームをあんたに任せるよ。何でもいい。
じゃあね、レナは審判だよ。このお祭り会場で買い物を
Oh God.
してくるの。
That's
制
gonna...
限時間は1分。ちょうどですわ。
You have to somehow figure out Rena's classifications for what's cute.
レナの好みは分かってますもの。
Do you? I don't know. It's kind of rough.
よし、多分あれなら勝てる。
よーい、ダン。あれ？ケイチ君とリカちゃんはなんでスタートしないんだろう。
Mion and Sadako dashed off madly, but Rika-chan and I calmly stayed right where we were.
ひょっとしてもう見つけてあるの？かわいいの。もう見つけてありますです。ケイチもですね。
I can imagine what Rika's cute thing is. For Keiichi, I'm not sure.
あ
Unless it's going to be a similar strategy. I don't know.
楽しみ。
Both Rika-chan and I stood motionless for those few moments before Mion and Sadako returned.
こういう形で直接対決するのは初めてだな。
初めてしますです。
リカちゃん、あれで勝つつもり。
僕も部員です。勝つためなら快速第3条ですよ。
Rika-chan sneered to the best of her ability. You're on. I wish I could see Rika try and sneer. Both Mion and Sadako came back, each with their own plane of attack stuffed in their arms.
じゃあ順番にね。1番は 部長さんのみーちゃんから。
悪いけどいきなり決めさせてもらうよ。さんはこれだ。
Where did she get those? They were all diamond-shaped tin signs. I guess, okay.
蚊取り線香。
I can see it.
昔懐かしのブリキ看板だ。どう？
That's very understated. A little too understated, Mion. Now I'm sure Rena likes it. I used to see those stuck up on barbed wire fences. They were more nostalgic than cute. Can you explain what part of that is cute? But there were puffs of smoke noisily shooting out of Rena's ears and nose, almost like a steam train. I didn't get it.
次は私が行くでございますわよ。これでございます。
It was the hand-drawn poster from the Ladies' Society's roasted corn stall. It was a really bad sketch done by a housewife. An anthropomorphic roasted corn drawn without any sort of real plan. Its very existence invited a sense of sorrow to the viewer. That was the sound of blood jetting out of Rena's nose. It seems to have been rated higher than Mion's. I really didn't get it. It feels like your artistic sense is a little avant-garde by about 5 eons.
所詮は量産看板。手書きには勝てませんわ。
I couldn't even begin to follow the way those guys were thinking.
では次は僕が行きますですよ。
I don't think they have much of a chance against Rika, but we'll see.
次はリカちゃんか。小道具もなしにどんな手を使うやら。
Did you and Sadako both forget? If Rika-chan felt like it, she could simply... After moving back about 10 yards, she began waddling up to Rena. Seeing that, both Mion and Sadako gasped.
しまった。
Too late. Rika-chan tripped over nothing and lay motionless after falling down. Rena hurried over to her.
リカちゃん大丈夫かな。大丈夫かな。
Rika-chan had a lump on her forehead and tears welled up in her eyes. Only her fingers peeked out from her sleeves. This was the vital part. The palms of her hands were covered by her sleeves. She made just a single sound.
み
Yeah, it's gonna be a rough competition against that.
お持ち帰り。忘れてましたですの。一番身近な手を忘れてましたわ。
Rena's face went completely red, her head bobbing back and forth. Oops, my bad.
さすがだぜ。
Her head bobbing back and forth with excitement. She embraced Rika-chan and began rubbing her cheek against her.
どこまで取っても一部の隙もない。ちびっこ、みこ、ハンナミだ。みー、完璧だ。ただの苔を萌えにまで昇華した。これぞまさに芸術と呼ぶにふさわしい。
ケイちゃんの方がわかんねえセンスしてるよ。
I'll just pretend the sharp sting of those words cutting through me like a razor was a figment of my imagination. Rika-chan turned her gaze to me with a daunting smile as she was caressed by Rena, who was in full cute mode.
さあ、ケイイチ。僕に勝てますですか。
That cold smile is frightening, Rika-chan. It must just be my imagination, but I see a demon inside her sometimes. I don't like when they mention the demon stuff. Because it feels like foreshadowing of some kind to whatever is going to happen. Because we know, we've gotten just a little bit of it. The Onikakushi stuff, the demon's abyss. I don't know.
ケイちゃんにも何か秘策があってのことだろうけど、何を見せてくれるのかな。
私としましても、ケイイチさんのお手並み拝見でございますわ。ひょっとして、ケイイチも芸をしますですね。
I basked in their pointed stares. I pulled Rena, who gave no sign of canceling out cute mode, away from Rika-chan.
はうー、かいのかいの。ケイイチくん、離して。
今から俺がもっとかわいいのを見せてやるから。
Good luck.
少し我慢しろ。
もっとかいいの。
だがここはちょっとギャラリーが多い。あっちの影へ行こう。
At what? Rena looked very suspicious as I pulled her behind the shrine. Where were you going?
ケイイチさんの企みが見えないでございますわ。
ケイちゃんに限って。いや、まさか。
と王です。
After a bit, I returned. And a bit after that, so did Rena, dragging her feet. What happened?
まさかケイちゃんのやつねんねのレナに
No, I don't.
ことしたんじゃ
I don't think he did. No. Mion and Sadako passed by me, heading straight to Rena.
変なことって一体何でございますの？
For a moment, Rena was too dazed to realize someone was talking to her.
なんだ、みーちゃんか。
What happened?
大丈夫ケイちゃんに変なことされなかった
レナ、変なことはされなかったよ。かなりの重傷ですわ。ケイチさんは一体何を見せましたの？とっても可愛かったよ。
What was it?
かわいいレナあんた何を見せられたの
Rena let out a really long howoo. Her eyes sparkled as she spoke.
可愛かったよ。ケイチ君のオットセイ。
Okay, it's like... In the blink of an eye, Mion Sadako's elbows smashed into my face.
何
レナに汚ねえもん見せやがって
There's has to be a misunderstanding here.
この大関助こまし重複して差し上げますでございます。
誤解だ
A dark, billowing aura flowed from Mion and Sadako. It was no good. They're gonna kill me.
みーちゃんなんだかわかんないけど誤解だよ。ケイチ君はオットセイさんのキーホルダーですよ。
Okay. Alright. Ruka-chan stuck her hand into my pocket and pulled out my keychain. Why did he have to go behind the shrine to show her his keychain?
昔夏休みの宿題で作ったと言ってますです。恥ずかしいのでめったに人に見せないとも言ってますですよ。
Okay, if you say so.
ちっちゃくて可愛くて精一杯頑張ったって感じがとっても素敵だったよ。
なんだてっきりおじさんはケイちゃんのあははは
さすがミオさんですわ。間違える方法
Okay, Sadako, that's... Okay, alright. They slung insults at each other and looked like they were ready to tear into each other at any second. I beg of you, if I'm in the clear, would you mind getting off of me? We were interrupted by the flash of a camera. Tomitake-san!
やあみんな、相変わらず元気そうだね。
It was Tomitake-san. As I lay crumpled on the ground, Mion and Sadako continued to bicker above me. Ruka-chan was patting me on the head, and Rena was still in cute mode. It was probably quite a lively scene.
こんばんはではございますが、レディーに断りもなくお写真を撮るのはエチケット違反でございますことよ。
そうだな。少なくともサトコの許可は必要ない。
Sadako dug her heel into me.
こんばんは。明日帰られちゃうんですよね。
Just here for Watanagashi.
素敵な写真はいっぱい撮れましたか？
おかげさまでね。いい絵がたくさん撮れたよ。
富竹のおじさまに会えるのも今晩限りなのね。
Like what he said there, he said
お
Okage-sama,
かげさまでね。
which is
いい
like,
絵がた
you
くさ
know,
ん撮れたよ。
it's like, means like thanks to you, you know, it's like, you say it as just thanks a lot of the time, but it's like, saying it here, it's like, you know, thanks to you, both in the normal meaning and also like literally thanks to them, because he's taking pictures of Runa and everyone, you know.
お名残惜しいですわ。いい加減とっととメジャーデビューしてください。
相変わらず口が悪いな。その毒舌もまた半年聞けないかと思うと残念だよ。
せいぜい今夜を楽しんでらしてくださいな。
Is he not coming back until the next? Huh, so does he really just come here every 6 months or something, I guess? Huh. I wonder why, if he's here right now for Watanagashi, I wonder why he comes here the other time. You know, if there's a festival during winter or something, I don't know.
明日の夜にはもう東京なんですからね。
そうだね。星が見える夜空なんてまた半年お預けだもんね。
Tomitake-san looked up at the night sky cheerfully. At that moment, even though he was smiling, I sensed a bit of sadness.
富武さん、いっそ住めばいいじゃないですか。
Honestly.
南沢。
Although, it's, you know, big cities are obviously really expensive, but small towns can be expensive in a different way, depending on your lifestyle and, like, what the housing situation is like, you know? Because I doubt there's, like, low-income apartments anywhere around Hinamizawa, you know?
確かに不便なとこです。店もないし、娯楽もないし、何もないかもしれないけど。
Everyone knew what I was trying to say. Tomitake-san was also well aware. So Runa, Mion, Sadako, and Rika-chan, none of them butted in.
俺はまだここに引っ越してきて一月も経たないから、
I think-
よくわからないけど。
I think Tomitake-san appreciates it just like you do, just... Normally I'm a really talkative guy, but in situations like this I'm at a loss for words. Even though all of this was happening in such a boisterous setting, it felt like all the background noise was fading into the distance.
ここにはきっと。
Tomitake-san rested his hand on me gently, silencing me.
ありがとな。ケイイチ君、ミオンちゃんにレナちゃん、サトコちゃんにリカちゃん。
Tomitake-san's smile was so slight it looked as if it was going to crumble at any minute, but it was warm.
僕もここに住めたらきっと楽しいだろうなって思うよ。
Is there some reason he can't? Because it's like... I don't know, it makes me think there has to be some deeper reason why he can't just live here, you know? Like when he was calling himself an outsider and stuff earlier. I'm just gonna write down, like, Tomitake-san can't live in Hinamizawa. I'll put outsider next to it. Because I think that does go along. It was interesting when he was asking Keiichi if he was warning him for being an outsider, you know? I just feel like that's related in some way. Those might have been cruel words coming from a kid who didn't need to worry about working to feed himself. Yeah, it could also just be Tomitake-san's job, being a photographer, and... Yeah, it could just be for economic reasons, but... I feel like it has to be deeper than that. A hand touched my back. It was Rena. He's not picking on him. The background clamor of the festival returned. It's like, for them, it's like... Runa saying that, saying he shouldn't pick on Tomitake. It makes me feel like they know something. They know that there's some reason that Tomitake can't live here. That's, like, obvious to them, or something, you know? I mean, maybe I'm thinking too far into this, but... Tomitake calling himself an outsider, how appreciative he seems of Hinamizawa, and how he seems like he wants to live here, but he just says he can't, right? It would be great if he could, but he can't for some reason, you know? When Runa smiled, the mood instantly got brighter.
そうだね。ぜひそうさせてもらうよ。
That's a great idea. Or so I thought, but Mion had a snobbish look on her face. Yeah, the club is very exclusive, so...
入部条件の一つに南沢在住ってのがあるんだけどね。
そんなみーちゃん、今日くらい意地悪しなくても。
ま、コツコツ毎年来てるからね。名誉市民と認定してあげよう。
やったー。さてさて、こんな旬を過ぎたご老体にこの私の相手が務まるんでございましょうかしら。
This aged fellow well past his prime.
老快な大人の知恵を見せてもらいましょうです。
へへ、俺たちの若さについてこられるかな。
Tomitake-san stepped back slightly at our audacious grins.
部長、園崎美音の名において、名誉市民富武氏の我が部への入部を許可する。
Her words were quickly drowned out by our cheers.
なんだいその部活ってのは。
我が部はだな。複雑化する社会に対応するため
Oh, he's giving the same explanation as Mion that doesn't make any sense.
あるいは逆境からいかにして
レナは弱いからいじめないでほしいな。仲良くやろうね。子供のごっこ遊びと侮るつもりなら好都合でございますわ。
身ぐるみ剥いで地獄の底に叩き落としてやるぜ。
That's great.
つまり
Thank
みんなでゲームして遊ぶ部活です。
Thank you, Rika. Of course, Rika-chan was the only one to give him an answer that made sense.
よーし、望むところだよ。その挑戦を受けて立とうじゃないか。お手柔らかに頼むよ、先輩方。
Tomitake-san got riled up and did a victory pose like he was 10 years younger. He's not that old. That's perfect. We continued walking through the festival with Mion in the front. Now we looked like a family of 6. It had some intensity to it.
ルールはいつも通り。ビリにはもちろんお約束の罰ゲーム。
Of course. Tomitake-san was a bit surprised, but to us it was just the same as always. Regardless of how terrible a penalty it was.
負けなきゃいいんだからね。
Mm-hmm. Runa was also brimming with determination. She didn't have any intention of losing.
そうだな。
I tousled Runa's hair to lighten the mood. She giggled to hide her embarrassment.
なるほど。これが同心ってやつなんだな。
Tomitake-san whispered that to nobody in particular. At that moment, we heard an old man call out in a strong voice. Looking over, I realized it was the man Mion had greeted right before the festival.
来たかい。園崎の嬢ちゃん。今年は大人数みたいじゃねえの。
Wonder why they translated the honorific this time. Last time they just put Ojo-chan.
あんたの店、根こそぎかっさらいに来たよ。
His stall was a shooting gallery. Ah. It was the usual setup where you had to knock down the prize you wanted with a cork gun.
ルールは簡単。3発撃って得られた景品のデカさで勝負しよう。
Okay, okay. Everybody shouted their agreement. There was no need to consider how to win, since the condition was simply size. Since the condition for victory was simply size. How does that happen? The biggest prize at the stall, it went without question. It was that one, wasn't it?
あのクマさんかわいいよ。
Runa was gazing longingly at a large stuffed animal. It was intentionally placed on an unsteady platform, so it was possible to get it if you hit the right spot. That's what they want you to think.
絶妙な配置が見事だな。
Mm-hmm.
さすがケイチさん。一発でカンパすると思いましたわ。
ここは無難にキャラメルや人形を狙うのが定石のようだね。
The intent analysis had already begun. In this club, you'll get eaten alive if you don't come prepared. Everything hinges on what plan you can come up with before the main event. At some point, a large crowd had gathered around us, making a big fuss. There was this much of a following for a club's infamous event?
クマさんを落とせれば勝利は確定しますですね。
3発しかないんだぜ。それを確かめるために使うんだ。
That would be rough.
はいはい。他のお客さんも待ってるんだぜ。最初のチャレンジャーは誰からだい？先に挑戦した方が楽な景品を狙えて有利かもしれないけど、鉄砲の癖が見えないうちの挑戦は危険。
True. You don't know like how heavy the bullets are, how strong the gun is, you know. Tomitake-san's take on the situation was pretty good. He gets what our club is about.
じゃあさ、公平にじゃんけんで決めるのはどうかな。どうかな。
結局それしかないかね。じゃんけん。
After a couple of matches, it ended up with Mion being first.
一番は避けたかったんだけど。ま、ハンデってことにしとくかな。おっちゃん、10。
そらよ。
When the shooting range guy handed her a rifle, Mion looked it over intently. She didn't forget to check the cork bullet either.
オッケー。この銃はおろしたてだね。癖はなし。悪くない。
Mion raised the gun in one swift motion. It was completely different from her careful inspection. She was shooting from the hip. Fire. Reload. Fire. Reload. Fire. Flop. Flop. 3 candy boxes fell, one after the other. A big haul. That is good. The crowd paused in a moment of awe, and then erupted in cheers. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty... Just to get one thing with each of your shots, that alone is pretty good. Tomitake-san was at a loss for words after seeing such shooting prowess. Her accuracy was incredible. Her choice of targets wasn't bad either. The 3 Mion had gone after were fairly large and pretty easy to knock over. They were all targets with a very high return on investment. Next was Sadako. The rifle looked a bit big for her lithe body, but it didn't seem like she had any problem with the weight. Oh god, I don't know about that. She proclaimed that she was going after the teddy bear. Damn Sadako, such a bold move. Sadako was the opposite of Mion. She aimed at the target quite carefully, and squeezed the trigger. The first 2 bullets struck the bear in the torso, but it only shifted a bit. You need to aim higher towards the head or it won't work. Sadako's 3rd bullet wasn't aimed at the bear, but at the candy box below its arm. She went boldly after the big catch, but since she switched over to less impressive prey at the last second, the crowd only gave a strained laugh. Were they laughing because she lacked the courage? These fools knew nothing. I'll read that again. Okay. The palm of Mion's outstretched hand went pomp as it tapped down lightly on Sadako. Sorry about that, I had something come up. I think I missed a line there. She appeared to just be talking hot air, but it was actually completely calculated. Damn that Sadako. Just to avoid being in last place, she dared to switch over to an easy target. Without shame or honor. Magnificent. Good luck. I don't know. It seems like she's just egging on Rena to waste her shots on the bear. Maybe Rena would shoot for it anyway, never mind. Rena was up next. She couldn't hit the broadside of a barn as regular Rena, but she said that the bear was cute. It's Rena, you know. It's Rena Ryugu, you know. If it was to get that teddy bear. Tomitake-san wheeled around to see what all the commotion the spectators were making was about. Man, I can't read. If it was to get that bear, she'd be able to shoot through a pinhole. The one known as Rena Ryugu could do it. Rena couldn't hide her excitement over the bear's slow rocking. Now Rena couldn't lose. Oh! Another big cheer. Rena's bullet hit the bear's forehead again. Not enough. The bear seemed to wobble more than before. Come on. Uh-oh. While Tomitake-san was just as excited as the crowd, Rika-chan's analysis was not swayed by emotion. If Rena had 10 more shots, then she could surely knock it over. But with just 1 more, no matter how you looked at it, no go. Aww. The crowd let out a dejected groan. She had shot it right in the forehead 3 times. It was a bit late, but they gave her a good round of applause for the attempt.
コマさんお持ち帰り。
Aww. She should be praised for her valor, but she had no more trophies to show for it. Then, at that moment, the old man flicked one of the candy boxes with his finger and handed it to Rena.
こいつはジョーちゃんのだぜ。
くれるの？レナに？
Does that count for the game?
手ぶらで返しちゃお天道様に申し訳が立たねえぜ。
There was another shower of applause. Rena turned bright red.
頑張ったじゃ
Oops.
ないかよ。
I keep doing that. Rena turned bright red, and I pulled her back over to us by her hand.
かわいいモードのレナにゃ驚かされるぜ。
惜しかったよ、クマさん。
It was easy to see that it only needed a little bit more to be knocked over. Rena had done quite a lot for me. I still needed to pay her back for that delicious picnic.
よっしゃ、そんなら俺が。
僕が取ったらプレゼントするよ。
What? Tomitake-san had stolen the words right out of my mouth. How dare he?
お願いね、富武さん。頑張れ。
Damn you, old man Tomitake. Stealing the good parts for yourself. A small hand stretched over and fell gently on my head just before I was overcome with frustration.
ケイイチもファイト、ですよ。
Tomitake-san carefully studied the bear. Setting his sights, he shouldered the rifle while holding the other two shots in his hand.
どういうことだ？
間違いない。富武のおっさんの狙いは。
Whop! The time between the shots was short. It was meaningless to shoot again once it stopped shaking. So Tomitake-san was relying on rapid fire to win the battle. Makes sense. It was visibly wobbling much more than it ever had before. But that was all. It still didn't fall over.
残念だった。
All of Rena's momentary expectation from watching it sway violently turned into a dejected sigh.
結構いけると思ったんだけどな。
Keiichi's gotta do it.
男だとキャラメルはもらえないようでございますわね。
That was it. It meant Tomitake-san had no spoils of war.
つまり、ケイちゃんとリカちゃんは手堅く楽なものを撃ち
True.
落とせばビリ回避って
That's against the spirit of the game,
ビ
though.
リ回避か。あ、すみませんね。
今度はケイチ君の番だよ。検討。
I was the fifth shooter. I took the rifle from Tomitake-san. If I took the ruthless route, as Mion had suggested, then I'd go for something insignificant. Except, when I picked up the rifle, I definitely got a feeling from it. It was burning passion, passed down to me by Tomitake-san. The regret of not being man enough to fell the bear that Rena wanted. Yes, that's right. If I didn't aim for the bear, then I wouldn't be a man.
約束しちまったからな。レナに。
約束ってなんだろう。
あのクマを撃ち落としてレナにプレゼントするって。
それって。
You got this, Keiichi. The crowd went wild when they saw our conversation. That's not it, fine men of the crowd. If I didn't do this, then Rena might mug the old man running the stall on his way home. Yeah, you can come up with excuses, come on. No, that's not it. That's not it at all. Why can't I just express my honest feelings? Exactly.
ケイイチさんも男を見せますのね。でも実際どうやってクマを落とす気ですの？レナや富武の玉で幾分傾きはしましたですが、難しいと思いますで。ケイイチくん。
もっと素早い連射力があれば一撃ごとの揺れにパワーを上乗せできるのに。
頑張ってケイイチくん。
After taking 2 deep breaths, I shouted over to the guy.
鉄砲もう2丁貸してくれ。
Oh, he's gonna shoot like all 3 at once, pretty much. Huh? The crowd murmured amongst themselves.
ケイイチさんは何を企んでいるのでしょう。
Will the guy at the stall allow that?
一人じゃ3丁は使えないですのよ。
読めたよ。ケイちゃんも考えたじゃん。
That would be really hard to do. Like what? You pick one up, you shoot it, how are you gonna... Would you really be able to pick the other two fast enough to shoot them back to back, you know? Mion was able to figure it out magnificently.
つまり一番時間がかかってるのがこのコルク玉の装填なんだよ。
そうだよね。じゃあ先に弾を詰めた鉄砲を3つ並べておけば。
Tomitake-san went silent, peering at me and the bear through his lenses. His photographer's blood predicted a miracle will occur, and then the crowd finally picked up on what I was planning. They let out a great cheer. They chanted my name, Keiichi. Rapid fire is the key. If I miss, all is for naught. Phew. After letting out a deep breath, I paused. Relax. Now. Oh, shit. Come on. That moment, it felt like time itself had stopped. I felt like I could see the trajectory of the bullets, hit it, and knock it down. The first shot hit the bear on its head. The second. The third. The bear swayed hard, and then... He got it. Yes, let's go! The cheers began before the stuffed animal even finished falling off the shelf. The guy caught it before it hit the ground and tossed it over to me.
まさか本当に落としやがるとはな。乾杯だぜ。すごいや。おめでとう、ケイチ君。
ケイイチさんも頭を使えるようになりましたわね。少しは見直しましたですの。
俺一人で落としたわけじゃないぜ。みんなで当てて少しずつずらして落としたんだ。
Like him saying that, it's obvious to me that these games are... There's some kind of deeper meaning behind them and the things that happen in the games. It's definitely like a metaphor or an analogy for stuff. I assume future events or details about these characters that we don't know yet. It just has to be. It's too... there's been, especially like the zombie tag game, when they played that right after Keiichi learned about, you know, Onikakushi and the Demon's Abyss and all that stuff. I'm 100% sure that I'm going to think back on these games at some point and realize that there's deeper meaning to the stuff that goes on in them than it seems like there is right now, basically.
こいつは俺たち全員の戦果だぜ。
そうそう、全員の力の結晶だね。
ミーは一発も当ててませんです。
After holding up the teddy bear like it was a championship trophy, I handed it to Rena.
そうだ、こいつは俺から、いや、みんなからだな。いつもうまい弁当ありがとな。
Rena, thinking she was never actually going to get it, was momentarily speechless.
ダメだよ、ケイイチ君。だってこれはみんなの。
じゃあ落としたのは俺。だからこれは俺のだからレナにやる。
I pushed the stuffed animal towards her again. This time, she embraced and accepted it.
俺が引っ越してきてからいろいろ面倒を見てくれたよな。すげえ感謝してるんだぜ。ありがとな。
ケイイチ君、ありがとう。
Rena dove at me. Mion told me a few days later that Rena kissed me, but I didn't realize it during all the excitement at the time. Aww. I remembered what I was trying to say to Tomitake-san earlier. There really isn't much of anything here, but there are lots of things you can't find anywhere else. I gained a lot from coming to Hinamizawa, especially at that moment. It has to be downhill from here. I just know it's going to be. Because obviously, you know, based off the scene at the very beginning, we know bad things are coming. And this, to me, this feels like this is, like what he just said about how, you know, this feels like a, I guess I don't know how to word it. It feels like his feelings about Hinamizawa have kind of crystallized, and he is, you know, he is happy and content being here, being a member of the club, being a citizen in Hinamizawa, you know. And I just feel like this is kind of the climax of those feelings for him, I guess. From the altar set up in front of the shrine, the drums sounded with a booming echo. It was the finale of the festival.
じゃあ僕はお先に行くですよ。
おっと、僕も早く行っていいポジションを確保
Tomitake
しない
has
と
to
な。
get his punishment.
じゃあみんな、後ほど。
Both Rika-chan and Tomitake-san gave their farewells and disappeared into the crowd.
二人ともお勤めしっかりでございますよ。ささ参りましょうでございます。
リカちゃんのあで姿を見に行きますかね。行こ
あ、あれ、レナは？何やってんだよ。
ケイチくん、みーちゃん、
What happened?
助けて。
Since she was carrying such a ridiculously large stuffed animal, she was being carried by the flow of
何
people.
やってんだあいつ。熊の世話で手一杯なんだな。
う。じゃあケイちゃんにはレナの世話を頼むかね。私はサトコの世話で忙しいし。
誰がミオンさんの世話になるでございますの？痛い、手引っ張らないでくださいまし。
Before losing sight of Mion, I grabbed the back of Runa's collar.
ケイチくん、そこ違う、掴むとこ違う。
注文のうるさいやつだな。どこならいいんだ？
I didn't feel ashamed at all. Runa was ashamed enough for the both of us. I grabbed onto Runa's hand and dashed after Mion and the
置いて
others.
かれる。早く行こうぜ。
I hadn't realized Runa's hand was so delicate. Maybe she needed a bit more exercise and nutrition? That wasn't what I meant, not at all. Thank you. My ears burned. I tried to keep calm. I repeated the phrase, "Keep it together, Keiichi Maibara," in my mind, but it didn't look like I would be able to anytime soon. I really didn't want Runa to see my face right then, so I pushed onwards, dragging her along without looking back even once. There was already a huge group of people gathered at the altar in front of the shrine. The fire at the altar made it as bright as midday and just as hot. There was a pile of futons warded with sanctified rope in front of the altar. Come to think of it, they did say this was a festival where they did something with the cotton and futons.
ケイチさん、レナさん、こちらでございますのよ。
Sadako waved her hand from the front row.
お、すまんすまん。
Making our way through the massive people, we reached the spot they'd saved.
どう？ちょっとはレナとドキドキできた？
やっぱりてめえ、そういうつもりだったのか。
Instead of replying, Mion gave us a perverse grin.
レナはどうだった？ケイちゃんの手って意外に大きいとか思わなかった？
Runa turned bright red, puffs of steam shooting out of her. Did Mion get eliminated there? I heard something slice through the air and turned around to see Mion on the ground with a welt on her face.
ミオン、お前いつ食らったんだ？
ハウのハとウの間くらいだったかな。
レナ、照れ隠しに友達を殴るのは良くないぞ。
レナ、殴ってないよ。
Alright, Runa, we really gotta work on that. Come on. Thump. The thunderous beat of the drum echoed, silencing the crowd.
お静かになさいませ。始まりですわ。
It was a solemn ritual. Ever heard this music before? Rika-chan entered dressed as a shrine maiden, followed by members of the municipal committee. The elders all looked at Rika-chan and clasped their hands in praise. The only thing allowed to disturb the profound silence was the flash from Tomitake-san's camera.
リカちゃんが持ってるあのでかいのはなんだ？
祭事用のクワだよ。
A hoe.
巫女さんしか触っちゃいけない神聖な農具なの。
It was an awkward shape for a piece of farm equipment, not uncommon for something used in rituals. After reciting a Shinto prayer, Rika-chan approached the pile of futons gathered at the altar. She swung the hoe skillfully, plowing it into the futons. Each and every little movement of this performance probably had to be done in a certain way. Without a doubt, this was a ritual.
今度はなんだ？布団叩きかな。
あれはね、人間に代わって冬の病魔を吸い取ってくれたお布団を清めてるの。
Okay, okay.
ゲイちゃん
I
の
get
布
it.
団叩きって表現もまあ外れじゃないかね。
Rika-chan's face was already dripping with sweat. That hoe was probably really heavy. She staggered side to side with the momentum of each swing. Sadako looked on, silently lending her support.
心配か？
リカは毎日お餅つきの杵で練習してましたですの。きっとやりきるでございますわ。
Sadako's hands were sweaty, and whenever Rika-chan started to sway a little, she held her breath. Aww.
ミオンとかは巫女役立候補しなかったのかよ。
No way Mion could do it.
リカちゃんにあの重さは気の毒だよ。
そりゃ頼まれりゃやるけどね。まあ誰にでも務まるものでもないし。
そうだよな。ミコは清らかじゃないとダメだもんな。
Mion drove her elbow into my side. With the thud of the big drum, Rika-chan gave a solemn bow and descended from the altar. That triggered a round of generous applause. After the Shinto priests had raised up the cleansed futons like a portable altar, all the spectators stood up. Following after the priests, we all marched on at a moderate pace. They descended the shrine's giant stairs in a line.
今度は何が始まるんだ？布団を川で洗濯か？
だから綿流しだってば。
Ah. The procession continued right up to the bank of the stream. A fire was stoked high, and it was bright as day here, too. People started crowding around it and clamoring.
はい、順番。並ぶよ、ケイチ君。
I wondered what was up. Maybe we'd get some holy wine? Red and white bean buns?
食べ物じゃないよ。だから綿。
Ah, but of course. They didn't call it Watanagashi for nothing. I finally understood. The municipal committee members pulled out the cotton from inside the futons and balled it up like mochi, handing it out to people. Rena dove into the line and brought out some for me as well. We then proceeded to the bank of the stream.
ケイチ君は初めてだから、レナのやり方を真似するんだよ。
She held the cotton in her right hand and, waving her hand as if to purify it, she touched her forehead, chest, navel, and both thighs.
これを3回繰り返すの。心の中では、お社様ありがとうって唱えるんだよ。
Oyashiro-sama.
お社様ってなんだよ。あの神社の神様の名前か？
うん。
I
南
see.
沢の守り神様なの。
I'm gonna write that down. Oyashiro. Guardian of Minamizawa.
ご利益もあるけど、たたりもあるんだからね。
Miracles and curses.
ちゃんと敬わないとダメだよ。
That sounded like a pretty frightening god. But, well, when in Rome, I was officially a resident of Hinamizawa now, after all. Doing as Rena showed me, I touched the cotton over myself 3 times. Thank you, Oyashiro-sama. Thank you, Oyashiro-sama. Oyashiro-sama.
これでね、体についてた悪いのが、この綿に吸い取られたの。で、あとは沢の流れにそっと流してね。おしまい。
Together, Rena and I set our pieces of cotton afloat on the surface of the water. The flowers of cotton blooming in the water had sucked out all of the bad illnesses from Hinamizawa and drifted off, disappearing into the distance. I like it. I like the idea behind this whole thing, I guess. It makes sense. It was wonderful, like those floating lantern festivals I'd seen on TV. The best part, though, was feeling like this rite of passage had made me a true resident of Hinamizawa. Yeah. He's a true resident now, that's for sure. Oh?
はじめはちょっとした不安だった。誰かを傷つけたいなんて考えもしなかった。それでも不安は孤独を生んで疑念へと変わり、やがて黒い殺意が心を闇に閉ざしていった。戻らない日常。 少年は足を踏み出す。その先が奈落の底だとも気づかず、鬼隠し、
Onikakushi.
信じたいと思う気持ちが生んだ悲劇。
Tragedy born from a
流
desire
し
to
た
believe.
涙は懺悔か、それとも怨恨か。
I mean, that was obviously Rika talking, right? I mean, not Rika, Rena. I'm glad I made a quick save in the middle of this chapter because I had to take the break there. I am, yeah, I definitely want to read that again. Well, I'm trying to think if there's anything I want to say about that. I mean, you know, she mentioned murderous intent, which is like, she's talking about anxiety leading to loneliness, which led to, you know, a wicked murderous intent, even though hurting someone was never something she thought about. Saying that Keiichi is taking a step towards a unrecoverable daily life, even though, you know, he's walking into the abyss. Well, that is kind of what I was talking about how it's like, this felt like the end of the good times for Keiichi, maybe, you know? It felt like the end of his, kind of, you know, uncertainty about being new here in Hinamizawa and all that, you know? It's like what he said, you know, he's a true resident now of Hinamizawa, you know? And now things will start going downhill from here, I'm going to imagine. While staring off into the stream, I somehow got separated from Rena. I wasn't very lonely, though. I know this place now. This is where I live, my home. It's probably better if I just stay here instead of wandering around aimlessly. So now I'm curious, like, oh god, so much stuff to think about. Like, the stuff Tomitake-san was saying about how there's a reason why he can't live here, that he wishes he could be here. It's like, it makes me wonder if there's some kind of reason why becoming a resident of Hinamizawa is a bad thing, or if it's hard to become a true resident of Hinamizawa, whatever that means, you know? Because it's like, from what Rena said in that little interlude there, she said Keiichi has now started an unrecoverable daily life, not knowing he's walking into the abyss, right? Paraphrased heavily there. So it's like, it makes me wonder if what he's doing, becoming a true resident of Hinamizawa, you know, if he feels like this is his home now, this is where he lives. It's like, is that something that is bad that you were supposed to avoid for some reason? Maybe related to this, you know, this whole god stuff going on with Oyashiro-sama? I don't know. That is, because it feels very related to me. This stuff Tomitake-san was saying about how he can't live here. And now, right after Keiichi has decided he's a true resident of Hinamizawa, this is where he lives, this is his home, we get this creepy stuff about how he's walking into the abyss, and he, you know, his situation is unrecoverable, you know? Someone would surely find me while I was enjoying the evening breeze. I heard a familiar voice. It was Tomitake-san. I headed towards it.
どうですか、富武さん。いい写真はいっぱい撮れましたか？
ああ、おかげさまでね。
Tomitake-san was with a girl. Oh. It felt a little like I was intruding. Oh, and we have art for her. Her voice sounds like, that one lady that we saw on, what was that, the first or second episode, I think, when they, when Mion and Rena brought, Keiichi around town, you know? This very, like, yeah, it's a very unique voice that she has, that's for sure. So I'm quite sure that's her. From the way she spoke, it seemed like she was a resident of Hinamizawa. I really should try harder to remember people's faces here. What was her name?
楽しかったです。
My face must have given away how desperately I was trying to remember her name, because she gave a light-hearted chuckle.
ケイチ君はまだ引っ越してきて日が浅いんだそうだね。他の子たちととても親しげだったから、とてもそうは思えなかったよ。
If that's how it looked, it was probably all thanks to Rena and Mion.
あなたも今日のお祭りに参加して、
Mm-hmm.
自分がひなみ沢の人間になれたんだって
He
自
sure
覚できたん
does.
じゃないかしら。
He sure does.
どうなんでしょうね。
おや圭一君らしくない返事だね。
I had tried to get used to Hinamizawa, but there were still plenty of things I didn't know. The faces of people I'd met, for example. Things that had happened in the past as well. Yeah, he kind of, you know, I don't want to say he got over it, but he hasn't been thinking about it very much, the murder.
なんだその程度のことで君は疎遠に感じていたのかい？
疎遠なんて大げさなもんじゃないですよ。ただなんていうのか。
That incident at the dam construction site. The fighting over it and other conflicts. That terrible incident they pretended they didn't even know about whenever I brought it up. Even though it was in the past, as someone living in Hinamizawa, it wasn't wrong to want to know about both the good and bad that had happened here.
それを知ることで君が納得するなら僕の知っている範囲で何でも教えるよ。
Tomitake-san's smile made me more relieved than I'd ever been. It was hard to think of what to ask when someone said, "Ask me anything," though. Even when there was so much I wanted to
じ
ask.
ゃあダム工事について聞かせてください。ひなみ沢が水没するとかいう大事件だったんですよね。
ダムについては多分ここの人に聞いた方が詳しいと思うけどな。
He can get answers about the dam. Mion was telling him about the dam, just not about the murder.
僕が知っている範囲でいいんなら新聞で読んだ程度だけどね。
Tomitake-san's eyes entered an unfocused gaze as he searched through his memory. Then he spoke.
ダムの計画が決まったのは7、8年くらい前なんだ。黒部に次ぐ巨大な計画だったと聞いてるね。
There were three major issues in Japan at that time. Improving inter-island transportation infrastructure, meeting the higher demand for electricity, and flood control. There was a boom of dam building due to the massive economic stimulus they provided on top of generating electricity and flood control. Hinamizawa had the right conditions to support dam construction, so it was singled out.
ダムの完成に伴って生まれるダム湖はかなりの面積になったらしいね。この南沢からずっと上流の
Would that ever happen? Is that really just something they would do? Just destroy an entire town, multiple towns, just to build a dam? I guess I don't know. Maybe that's something that they've done before. Just that's crazy.
しかしなんだって人が住んでるひなみ沢にわざわざダムを作るんですか？もっと他の人が住んでないところに作ればいいのに。
よくは知らないんだが、ダムを作るのに適した地形ってのがあったって聞いてるね。
Of course, there were protests here in Hinamizawa. Rika-chan had said they had fought. From that choice of words, I had to guess things had turned violent. Like, Tomitake-san's explanation here. That just doesn't... I don't believe that. It was just the right terrain for building a dam. No, there has to be a further explanation behind it. Why they wanted to make the dam here. That's crazy.
裁判にもなったし、議会でも取り上げられたんだ。東京の新聞にも載ったよ。
I would imagine so. Mion had told me all about that as well. I'm sure every resident of Hinamizawa had united to fight together. The feeling of solidarity found here, which could not be expressed properly with mere words, was likely brought about by that battle.
で、いろいろな不祥事や汚職が発覚してね、ややこしいことになっているうちに工事中止が決まったんだそうだよ。
If I wanted to know, now was my only chance to ask. It was certainly a bizarre incident that boys my age would be curious about. I felt a little shame from the fact that I was petty enough to have my curiosity piqued by Rina and Mion's refusal to talk about the event. But I figured I might as well ask since I had the chance. Just so I would stop thinking about it so much.
バラバラ殺人ってありましたよね。
あったよ。偶然その時期にひなみ沢にいてね。だからよく覚えてるよ。
Tomitake-san's answer was nonchalant in contrast to my hesitantly forced-out question.
ちょうど4年前の今頃だったかな。
Okay.
あれも確か渡
Oh,
辺市の日だ。
okay. So that's why he was here. Debate on whether to continue construction on the dam was in disarray. Scandal after scandal rocked the project near the end. The incident that was the final nail in the coffin for the dam project. A fight at the dam construction site ended in the victim being murdered. Fearing prosecution, the 6 assailants divided the remains into 6 pieces and each hid one. 5 of the 6 criminals turned themselves in out of guilt, but one was still on the run. The right arm he'd hidden had yet to be found. The major details lined up with what was in the tabloid I'd read earlier. It certainly was a tragic incident, but it wasn't so terrible that Runa and Mion needed to hide it from me. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is I feel like you could be, You could extend Runa and Mion the benefit of the doubt, I guess. But obviously through the presentation that was shown to us, I think, you can't. I think they're doing it deliberately for some reason other than just they don't want to talk about it. I guess they didn't want someone who just moved here to have a negative impression of Hinamizawa. But would that really give you a negative impression of Hinamizawa? One person was murdered 4 years ago. Like, oh no. Like, I felt grateful for having friends who worried so much about me, as well as shame for being so interested in it.
当時はダムのトラブルの末期だったからね。親代様のたたりだって言ってずいぶん騒がれたんだよ。
Oyashiro-sama's curse. That's Runa mentioned blessings and curses, right? So what they're saying, like the Oyashiro, because Oyashiro-sama's like the guardian of Hinamizawa, right? So they're saying like Oyashiro-sama, you know, is the reason why that person died, I guess.
お社様のたたりか。
Oyashiro-sama was the name of the god that held the festival today, if I recalled correctly. You just learned that like 5 minutes ago. Like, come on. I see. Their guardian deity rained divine punishment down on the evil dam construction for trying to flood Hinamizawa. Oh no.
若い人たちはそうは思わなかったみたいだけど。
She is kind of creepy. Apparently the younger ones didn't think so.
お年寄りたちは
Oh,
お社
she's saying
様の
this.
た
Never
たり
mind.
だと疑わなかったみたいね。
Okay. Just that's a weird thing to say it like this. I'm not even gonna say what I'm thinking about this line, because I think I'm really overthinking it. So. The woman with Tomitake-san chuckled mischievously. Tomitake-san began laughing with her. It was so infectious I ended up laughing as well.
でも今ではどうかしらね。結構いるんじゃないかしら。若い人にも。
いるって何がですか？
信じてる人だよ。親代様のたたり。
Okay. The woman's lips were still curled into a smile, but her expression turned stern.
その後ね、毎年起こるんだよ。決まって今頃にね。
怒るって何が？
It continued. Tomitake-san paused for a second, as if to build up some suspense. Then he whispered to me, as if someone might have been listening.
毎年Watanagashiの日になるとね、誰かが死ぬんだよ。
Somebody dies. Every year on the day of Watanagashi, somebody dies. We haven't heard about that. Okay. Well, now I feel like things are making more sense. Okay. Because if on the day of Watanagashi every year, since the dismemberment murder, someone has died, it makes more sense now why Runa and Mion wouldn't want to talk about it, because Keiichi bringing up the dam site murder is like him mentioning, this is much more, this happening every year, someone on the day of Watanagashi someone dying, is a much more significant thing than just one person being killed 40 years ago,
バラバラ殺人の翌年の渡流しにひなみ沢の住人でありながらダムの誘致派だった男が旅行先で崖下の濁流に転落して死亡した。奥さんに至っては死体も上がってない。
ひなみ沢の人間でありながらダムに賛成していた男ですからね。事故当時お年寄りたちはお社様のたたりだとささやきあったものよ。
Okay, and like this lady saying this about him supporting the dam construction even though he lived in Hinamezawa. That makes me feel like, still, this is just another thing that just makes me feel like there has to be more to this dam construction thing, to why they want to make this dam and destroy Hinamezawa with it, than it seems like. Because if it's really just they're gonna make a dam and destroy Hinamezawa for no reason, it just is in the way and they gotta make a dam here, then there was no way anyone would just support it, right? I mean, maybe I'm crazy, but that just seems like such an insane thing to even suggest if there's not some ulterior motive, some outside reason, other than just making a dam that they want to destroy Hinamezawa. The woman chuckled mischievously again.
さらに翌年、綿流しの晩、今度は神社の神主が原因不明の奇病で急死した。奥さんはその晩のうちに沼に受水自殺した。
Interesting. It's been,
神社の神主って今日のこの神社の
So, I mean, it hasn't just been one it's been two people every year, right? I mean, somebody dies, but it's been, you know, a man and his wife, and then again a man and his wife. The woman nodded.
村人たちはお社様のお怒りを鎮めきれなかったんだって噂したわね。
さらに翌年、これもまた渡流しの晩、今度は近所の主婦が撲殺体で発見された。
Up until now, all these mysterious deaths were people involved with the dam or who had connections with Oyashiro-sama. With that in mind, could the housewife have been involved in some way too?
その通りよ。
The woman stated slyly. No, it was more menacingly.
被害者の一家はね、その2年前に転落死したダム誘致派の男の弟一家に当た
The
る。
younger brother of the dam supporter. What? Wait, so, but the victim was the housewife, so she was the wife of the younger brother of the guy who died 2 years ago. Okay.
弟本人はまだ生きてるらしいね。
Okay. Oh god, it's hurting my head.
でもやはりかなり気にしてね。近隣の町に引っ越してったらしいよ。
For a while, I stood there with my mouth agape. The battle over the dam construction, with Hinamezawa's future at stake, and the murder at the center of it all. That was all I knew, but that was all I wanted to, and that was all I wanted to ask about. But that wasn't all there was to the story. Yeah, I mean, this is very, homicide, body disposal, accidental deaths, terminal illness, suicide, fatal beatings. I'm a pretty level-headed person. I don't really want to believe in curses, but the freakish deaths happened every year on the day of Watanagashi, and all of them were related to the dam construction. It was easy to dismiss each of them as coincidences by themselves, but when you put it all together, dismissing all of them as coincidence would then defy logic. I don't believe in curses, but every single year, on the day of Watanagashi, somebody or something makes it happen, without fail. I mean, it could be, so... I'm assuming, you know, it's... This whole curse thing doesn't really seem very, I wonder if it's, it's definitely not just coincidence, right, that someone dies every year on Watanagashi. I'm gonna say that much, because that would just be, like, I don't know, they're gonna reveal that it's just there was no connection, there's no way. So that would either mean there is a curse, and it's Oyashiro-sama cursing people and killing them, which I don't believe, or someone is doing it. I mean, it couldn't just be like a serial killer or something, could it? I mean, it could be the same perpetrator for all of them, or the same group of perpetrators. The woman chuckled again, as if she picked up on what I was thinking. It felt like she was saying, maybe there was, maybe we frightened him. Stuff like that. I felt embarrassed at being read so easily. I pressed Tomitake-san to continue, a bit of impatience and irritation in my tone.
で、その翌年の綿流しの晩にもまた人が死ぬわけですよね。
Well, it's been... That was 4 years, that was 3 years ago, right? So that's this year, right? Or that was 3 years. It's been 4 years since the first one. So 79, 80, 81. Or no, was it, was there another one in between? Or are we at this year now?
さてね。
No, we must be here. No, it's here. It's today. Yeah. The way he said it didn't agree with me. The sarcastic tone ticked me off. It's like Keiichi's not even thinking about it. It's like he didn't even think about how someone always dies on Watanagashi. Today is Watanagashi.
はぐらかさないでくださいよ。俺は結構真剣に。
まあまあ圭一君落ち着いて。
I realized when she tried to calm me down that I had been panicking.
別にはぐらかしたつもりはないんだ
They
よ。
they don't know. Who knows who's gonna die yet? That makes me think there's more, like, it makes sense why, you know, Tomitake-san might come here every year on Watanagashi if something like this happens every time, you know?
つまり、その翌年の綿流しってのは、つまり。
That's this year.
今日よ。
Yeah, that's today. Not even this year. That's today. That's right now. When Tomitake-san hesitated to say it, she finished for him. I broke into a cold sweat. I really didn't like the direction this was headed.
みんな口にしないけど、今夜また何か起こるんじゃないかって思ってる。
こんなにお祭りで賑わってるのに。
あのね、去年の被害者の主婦は不信心者だったらしくてね、綿流しのお祭りに参加しなかったらしいの。
Interesting.
今年の綿流しに参加しないと、お社様の怒りに触れるかもしれないって噂。
That's very... Because all of them have been related to the dam project or... Well, no, actually, I guess we don't know. We only know two. We know... Well, no, we know three. The housewife was a non-believer. The dam construction guy was part of the dam construction. And then the other guy was someone who supported the dam construction. We don't know about the priest who died. We don't know if he had anything to do with the dam construction or going against Oyashiro-sama. You know?
圭一君なら聞いてるんじゃないかい？
I never even heard a whisper of that rumor.
じゃあみんなのお祭りの参加はたたりを恐れて。
そうなんじゃないかと思うね。
Oh.
今年の綿流しは例年になく参加者が多いよ。
Dark.
やっぱりみんな怖いんでしょうね。お社様のたたり。
Oh, God. I couldn't utter a single word. In this modern age, where we've made progress in all scientific fields, shedding light on the unknown and misunderstood, where black and white television has been eradicated, and we've sent men to the moon, even with all of our accomplishments, this can exist in modern society? I mean, it doesn't mean there's a curse, right? Because the first one obviously wasn't done by a curse of some kind, unless, like, the people who did it were possessed or something.
やっぱり一連の事件を受けてあんまり参加はなかったみたいね。人集めに苦労してるって町会の人がぼやいてたもの。
And like here's another way to think about it, right? If, let's say, the first murder was related to the dam construction. The second murder was someone who supported the dam construction. So let's say there's a curse. Let's say it's Oyashiro-sama doing it, right? And Oyashiro-sama is punishing the people who wanted to do the dam construction, right? The problem is, the ones after that, the Shinto priests had no idea. They really didn't say anything about why the Shinto priest would have been killed, right? Yeah. Amongst the villagers that weren't able to quell. Okay, so I guess this lady's saying this about the priest, that the priest failed to quell Oyashiro-sama's anger. That's kind of a weird reason. But then the housewife was just a non-believer in Oyashiro-sama. So let's say if being a non-believer in Oyashiro-sama is enough of a reason for Oyashiro-sama to curse you and punish you and kill you on Watanagashi, why would it have only started after the dam construction, right? These murders have only been going on for 4 years on Watanagashi every year. If the murder is unrelated to the dam construction, and it's just, this lady doesn't believe in Oyashiro-sama, so Oyashiro-sama is gonna curse her and kill her, why wouldn't that have been happening for thousands of years, right? Ever since Oyashiro-sama's existed, and Hinami's always existed, you know? Because the two ones related to the dam construction make sense, because that started happening 4 years ago, so Oyashiro-sama is going to protect Hinamizawa and kill those people who support the dam. Whatever. But if just not believing in Oyashiro-sama is enough for Oyashiro-sama to kill you, these murders on Watanagashi should have been happening way more than just 4 years ago. Than just since 4 years ago. You get what I'm saying? So, I feel like that alone makes it clear that there is some new perpetrator or a new phenomena making all of this happen that started 4 years ago. That isn't just Oyashiro-sama cursing someone and killing them.
警察もね、過去の事件は全て別個のもので関連性はないとしてるみたいだけどね。
Though that's really dumb. And that's really that doesn't make it, that can't be right.
警備ってことで私服警官をだいぶ立たせてたみたいだよ。
It finally began to dawn on me why Runa and Mion were reluctant to talk. Yeah, it does make more sense now. If nothing happened during this Watanagashi, everything would have been over with, and I'd be none the wiser. If nothing happened, all would be well. In that case, it would all end up being just crazy talk. I should have just pretended like I knew nothing from the beginning. Then they wouldn't have had to act like nothing happened. And we would have all gotten back to life as usual.
やっぱり刺激が強すぎたかしら。
The woman ran her fingers through her hair as she sighed.
いえ、そんな全然。
I had tried to act strong, but that just served to emphasize how much the information had unsettled me. After seeing how I looked, Tomitake-san appeared to regret saying anything. Letting out a sigh, he then spoke, forcing an awkward, upbeat demeanor.
まさか圭一君、たたりなんて信じてるわけじゃないだろう。
そりゃまあ。
全ての事件が原因不明で犯人も手口も謎っていうなら僕もたたりを疑って。
Drink water. It's been a long one. Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Is the perpetrators for the first one at least were caught, right? Other than one.
だけど実際には違う。どの事件もちゃんと警察が捜査
Oh,
して
all of the
真
cases.
相や犯
Okay.
人を究明してる。
Hearing him say police made me feel a lot better. It was perfect for repelling the word curse.
例えば一番最初のバラバラ殺人、言ったよね。犯人は一人を残して全員逮捕されてる。
Yeah.
残った一人だって時間の問題さ。動機だって酒
maybe.
の上での口論からと判明してる。たたりなんて
I don't know if I buy that explanation though.
だろう。
That was true. If it didn't happen on the day of Watanagashi, then I wouldn't think it was related to the curse at all. Yeah, but you can't just say it's all a coincidence, right? It has to be... I mean, it could just be, like, people, oh, man, I don't know. I really don't know. Because there's no way just all of the murders are a coincidence, that they just happen to be happening on Watanagashi, right? Because people could just be, like, copycat killers or something, you know? But... I don't know.
次の誘致派の夫婦の事故死だってそうさ。恨みを買う立場だったからね。警察が特に入念に捜査したと思うよ。それで発表は事故。
It was an accident?
他殺じゃない。
I just don't believe it.
でもまた渡流しの日に起きたんですよね。
考えてもみなよ、圭一君。ひなみ沢に敵が多かった彼が。地元のお祭りにおちおち参加できる。
Okay, what does that have to do with it happening on...
彼にとっては渡流しの時期は特にひなみ沢に居づらい時期に違いないよ。だからわざわざこの時期に旅行をし、意図的にひなみ沢を離れようとしたんじゃないかな。
What does that have to do with it happening on the day of the festival? It wasn't a very clear explanation, but I sort of understood what Tomitake-san was getting at. So I pressed on earnestly, asking more questions so that I could convince
じゃ
myself.
あ富武さん、その次に死んだ神主さんはどうです？
I don't get that explanation at all. What is he talking about? Unless Keiichi means something else here. I'm asking why... If both of these happened on the day of Watanagashi, you can't just say it's a coincidence. But I don't understand what his explanation has to do with that.
原因不明の奇病だって。それもまたしても渡流しの日に。
神主さんはもっと説明がつきやすいよ。渡流しのお祭りは神主さんにとっては
Okay, no, I do not believe it's just all a coincidence. I don't believe that at all.
あるいはもともと持病持ちだったのかもしれない。
でも奇病ですよ。
But it's such a small town. I'm sure like no one ever gets murdered here. I mean, what would the murder rate be? One person every decade otherwise? I mean, but it just so happens that someone There's no way. Like,
この医学の進歩した時代に原因不明なんて。
尾ひれだよ。噂が噂を呼んだだけさ。2年立て続けに事件が起これば誰も過敏になるよ。
don't believe it
中
at
止
all.
は確かに不自然だったかもしれないけど、こういう死に方をすると必ず警察が検証する。で、事件性は発見されなか
Oh
った。
god, the police are stupid. I, like...
本当に偶然の病死なんだよ。
確か看護師の奥さんが
Yeah, and that, but like, he's just gonna say like, oh, she was just sad that her husband died.
これは
すでに説明した通りさ。3年目の事件に村人たちは同様、信心深い人たちはすぐにたたりだと決めてかかったのさ。
I don't think, no,
神主の奥さんもね、
I don't think it's the work of the curse, but I don't believe it's all just coincidence.
自殺の際に死んでお社様の怒りを押し詰めする
God.
みたいな遺書が見つかったらしいし。
Yeah, like it could be, people could be dying, people could be killing people because they believe in the curse. And they're using that as justification to kill someone on Watanagashi.
じゃあ次の主婦の事件はまたしても綿流しの日に。
But if the priest just died because of an illness, no one killed him.
この事件は犯人も逮捕されて解決してるよ。
Really?
一種の異常者でひなみ沢のたたり騒ぎを
Okay.
面白がって再現したと自供してる。
じゃあ次の年の事件は
That's today. Tomitake-san gave a hearty laugh.
もう何も起こらないよ。
Oh, God.
今度こそね。
You were very, yeah. I don't know about that, Tomitake.
お社様のたたりなんてもともとない。一連の偶然をあると信じている人たちが
No, it is,
強調しているだ
no,
けさ。
you are wrong. My internal computer finally got itself back on track. I felt a bit embarrassed by how childish I'd become after losing control and panicking.
僕は圭一君がひなみ沢をとても好きだと思ってることをよく知ってるよ。仮にお社様のたたりが実在したとしても、そんな圭一君にたたりがあるなんてとても思えないね。
I don't like him saying that either. I felt very relieved. I should probably just forget everything I heard tonight. I'll greet Rena and Mion tomorrow with the same smile as always. They'd probably also like tonight to end without an incident, so that they can continue on tomorrow without having worried me. Perhaps seeing my change in attitude, the woman who had been listening in stretched as she got up from the rock she was sitting on.
さてと、そろそろ私は戻らないとね。
お
Okay.
っと、僕も少々長くおしゃべりしすぎたかな。
There were so few people compared to the crowd from before, I could only make out a few groups of families enjoying the cool evening air. I looked at my watch. It seemed we'd talked for the better part of an hour.
圭一君もお友達と一緒に来たんでしょ。みんなを探したら。
そうだった。みんな俺のことを探してるかもしれない。
女の子に探させるなんてなかなかの罪人だね。
じゃあね、おやすみなさい、圭一君。ジ
Have
ロ
a
ー
nice
様。
night.
また後ほど。
Jiro, that's his name. Tomitake-san seemed to be quite the scoundrel himself, so his name was Jiro, yeah. After dusting off her backside, she disappeared into the crowd of people still busy cleaning up the shrine grounds. And we're back to happy music with Rena. Oh, God. I don't know. There's so much to think about. In her place, Rena came running over. I could see all the others behind her. Speak of the devil.
悪いケイちゃん、すっかり話し込んじゃっててさ。
I'd completely forgotten about them while caught up in my own conversation, so we were even.
あら、富武さんもご一緒でございましたの。ちょうどよかったですわ。今日の射的の結果。
Oh, yeah, he needs his punishment. Yeah.
ああ、そうだったね。結局ビリは僕なのかな。
What is his punishment gonna be? In the end, after my dramatic victory, Rika-chan was the last challenger, but there weren't many targets left. The ones remaining were all tiny and difficult to hit. She did take her time and aim, but all 3 shots completely missed, so she was to end up sharing the loser's crown with Tomitake-san. However, she did her little meeping cry in front of the owner. And he turned to mush instantly. She was given a pack of gum as a consolation prize. Nice. Her methods were a bit audacious, but she did avoid being the loser rather magnificently. Okay, okay.
思うにリカちゃんって結構タヌキだろ。
圭一の言ってる意味がわかりませんです。
なわけでビリは富武さんに決まり。
Everyone cheered and applauded. Tomitake-san smiled dryly, slightly bewildered.
じゃあ富武さん、覚悟はいいかな？罰ゲーム。
え？あ、
What is it gonna
忘
be?
れてた。
You're too naive, Tomitake-san. This is why you've got to avoid losing in our club. Mion pulled a felt-tip marker from her pocket. Again? Oh, it's that.
ミオン、武士の情けだ。せめて水星にしてやれ。優勢は辛い。
優勢じゃないとダメだよ。お洗濯したら落ちちゃうじゃない。
In the laundry.
なんでお手柔らかに頼むよ。
All of us pinned his arms behind his back, and Mion approached him with the marker in one hand.
キュッキュッ。
But she didn't write on Tomitake-san's face. She wrote on the shirt he was wearing. You better have your big break this year, Mion. Aw. Rena took the marker next. Show me your photos next time, okay, Rena? It was a little heartwarming. I just had to laugh.
これじゃあ罰ゲームってより寄せ書きじゃないか。
私は甘くはありませんのよ。ちゃんと罰ゲームでいきますわ。
Haha, dead last, Sadako. That's a pretty harsh punishment, Sadako. Try harder next time, Rika.
圭一さんもどうぞでございます。
I couldn't decide what to write, but based on what kind of penalty this was probably the most appropriate. Come back and play again, Keiichi. Tomitake-san was silent the entire time. At first he was quite bewildered, but now he had a different look on his face. I kind of have a bad feeling about what's going on right now.
これを着たまま帰郷するのも罰ゲームのうちに入るのかな。
もちろん。ちゃんと着たまま家に帰ってね。
Oh, whoops.
次に来る
Oh
時に
no.
も着てきてくれるといい
They were
な。
talking about, oh, when you come back, you can do this, and, you'll be back, and, He appeared deeply moved. Embarrassment mixed with a wealth of other emotions made him a bright red. Made him turn a bright red. God, I can't
わかっ
read.
た。次に来る時もこれを着
He's
てくるよ。
like, Tomitake is dead. Can we just get that out of the way? He's gonna die. He is the one who was going to die. Like, he just went on this long thing about how the curse isn't real and no one's gonna die this year and, oh, it's all great and awesome. And now everyone's signing his shirt and saying, oh, I can't wait for you to come back next year, Tomitake. He's dead. He's gonna die.
約束する。
I promise. Awesome. Everyone cheered and applauded. It was the finest parting gift possible for Betty heading out tonight. I saw the woman who was with Tomitake-san standing near the festival grounds. It seemed Tomitake-san noticed her too, and knew it was time to leave.
お連れ様がお待ちみたいじゃん。
Oh god, the music cut out.
そろそろお時間かな。
そうみたいだね。
Tomitake-san headed off towards her and seemed to apologize for making her wait. We all shouted stuff at Tomitake-san. Each time we did, he looked back and waved his hand. Eventually, he faded into the darkness of night, out of sight. He is dead. Like, there was no way he's not gonna die. I mean, like, I would be... I guess the game could be trolling me, but... I don't know. It was quite a casual farewell. This wasn't the first time any of us had seen someone off. They had done the same thing many times before.
行っちゃったね。
じゃあ、うちらも引き上げるかね。
Has to be near the end of the chapter. It has been so long. Rika-chan had to stay behind with the other committee members, since they were having a meeting. Sadako was tagging along with her. I headed back home with the usual suspects. The walk back was quite lively, with talk of the day's war stories. Should have done this, should have done that kind of stuff. Rena and I parted ways with Mion, and then it was just the two of us. Then we got to my house, and I parted ways with Rena as well.
こんな時間だけど、一人で大丈夫か？
Hmm.
全然平気だよ。近いし走っていくし。
変な奴がいたら大声出せよ。
出したら助けに来てくれるのかな。
Of course.
聞こえたらな。
聞こえるくらい大きな声を出すね。
Merrily spinning her arms around at high speed, Rena dashed off. She was fine. In that mode, not even an adult can stand against her. Rena's cheerful presence disappeared, and it finally became quiet again. The curse that not a soul mentioned, even under their breath. The more I learned about it tonight, the more unsettling it became. It didn't show on any of their faces, but they were probably all quite concerned about it as well. Yeah, someone's gonna die tonight. But if nothing happens tonight, then it all ends up being crazy talk. That's... Unfortunately, you're in a video game. It's not gonna happen. Nothing will happen. Nothing bad at all.
どうしたのケイチ、そんなところで。中に入りなさい。風邪をひくわよ。
Did they end up going to Watanagashi?
母さんは行った？渡流しのお祭り。
結局お父さんが起きな
Oh
かったから
god.
ね。行きそびれちゃった。
Oh.
残念。
Mom stuck her tongue out with a bit of an embarrassed look on her face. See, it's trying to... Man. Oh, fuck. Oh, that has to be the end, right? That was so long. It's gonna be a really long video. Oh, God, and we have so many tips. Oh, no. I might have to read the tips next time, guys. That was so long. I really don't think I have it in me. Oh, God, yeah, that took forever. 4 new tips? I just don't think I have time. Oh, God, especially because I know I'm going to have stuff to say about them, you know? Should I just read them next time? That was just such a long one. Yeah, I'm just gonna read the tips next time, guys. I'm sorry. That was so long. I did so much talking and so much thinking already. So yeah, we'll pick up again next time. That was great. We're you know, feels like we're getting the setup now for kind of the next arc, I guess, you know. I guess not arc. I don't know what you would call it, but we have a lot more questions, that's for sure. So thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, leave a comment, please, if you have anything to say. I don't know. It makes me happy. It gives me reason to upload these, I guess. So I'll see you guys next time.